Hey guys, Kevin here. Let's have a look at conditional statements. First of all, let's start with if statement. If is very simple. It's you define a condition that if the condition is true, execute this code. Alright. And again, as we had the indentation in loops, after a colon, you need to put some indentation so that only then the code will work. We also have else if statements. So what else if is that, let's say you have multiple conditions. According to those conditions, you have different lines of code that you want to execute. The most simple example is that you want to grade someone based on their marks. So they enter their marks, and then let's say anything above 75 out of 100 is an A grade. Anything about above 50 but less than 75 is a B grade, and then anything less than 50 is a C grade. All right. So in those conditions, you can use a if, else if, and else statement. All right. And in Python, else statements are optional. So if they are not used, if it's just if, else, if, elif, or if it's just one single if, it's perfectly alright. Right. Sometimes it might be the condition where you want to filter out certain things. There you don't need to put an else statement. All right. Um the next thing is the break statement. What break statement does is that wherever it is mentioned, what it will do is it will simply break the innermost loop that is upon it. So let's say there are nested loops, for while, whatever it is, right? There are so many loops, and then there's a break statement. So whenever the break statement occurs, the loop that is corresponding to it gets breaked, right? You simply exit out of the loop. Next, we have the continue statement. What continue statement does is that it ends the current iteration for the loop and then continues to the next iteration. So let's say you were in the let's say you have a condition where n should be less than 5. You are at n equals to 3, and then what happens is you encounter the continue statement. So what it does is it ends the iteration of n equals to 3, goes up, and then continues from n equals to 4. All right. What the pass statement does is that it's a placeholder for the future code. So just as let's say you're making the if else thing, all right, the grade assignment code, and over there you don't know what grade to give for let's say less than 50. You don't know that. So what you do is you write the else statement, and then you write pass. What that does is that it does not throw an error, and you can easily run the code to test the other statements. All right, fair enough. There's one another thing which is using else with loops. What else with loops can be used in Python? Python allows you to do that. And what happens is that if the break statement is used, then the loop gets terminated and the else block doesn't get executed. However, if the break statement does not get used, the loop runs all the way and triggers the else block as well. All right. So let's just head on over to collab and then test all of these things. All right. Yeah. So first of all, let's create a heading. Conditions, right? Conditions, and let's write the first line of code. Let's call this if statement, or let's just do it else if statement. So in that we'll cover all if else, and else if. So let's just write the example of the grade system. So marks equals to int input, enter your marks, right? The guy will enter his marks. If marks greater than 75, or let's make it 85. If marks greater than 85, you have to put the indentation print your grade is A. Alright, let's just copy this statement. Right now, since we are going to be writing the else if statement for this, just put elif over here. Elif marks greater than 50, or let's make it 65. Alright, your grade is B. Elif marks greater than 50, your grade is C. And else you have failed. Alright, Fair enough. Let's just run this. Let's say I score 90. My grade is A. Let's say I score 65. My grade is C. Right? What it does is uh, assume it to be like a bar where if you have anything greater than 85, it got terminated. You have anything greater than 65. Now, like what got what happened was anything greater than 85 got filtered off. So now whatever values entering the elif statement have to be less than 85, right? Whatever value enters into the elif statement has to be less than 85, and if it's greater than 65, then it prints your grade is B and gets out of the gets out of the if statement. All right, and if it doesn't get passed, it means that the value is less than 65, and if it's greater than 50, it executes the print your grade is C, and if it doesn't fulfill that condition as well, you just go to the last statement and you get code up. It's like a river, and like there are stones flowing in, and then there are different filters of different sizes, you could assume that, and with each filter the stones get blocked and removed. Yeah. So that's done. Next we have the break, continue, and pass. Alright, so now let's have a look at an example for break and continue statements. So let's just create a new code and let's write break statement. Right. And let's add a let's enter a new line. Let's create a list of numbers with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13, 15. Right now here you can see 10 is an even number. What I want to do is I want to print all the numbers before before we encounter the even number. Right. So what we'll do is we'll put a for loop for k in numbers. All right. First of all, we'll append. All right. So let's do this. Let's put a if statement that if k modulus 2 is equal to 0. That means if it's even, then break. All right. And otherwise, what will happen is append. So like let's create a list called odd, and it will be an empty list. And you could do odd dot append then k. All right. And else uh, or no, not an else, sorry, my bad, not an else. And what we can do is we can put a print statement over here uh, out of the loop. All right. uh, and then after that print the odd. Right. So just reconnect. Oh, I've lost internet. Yeah, so we are back online and let's run this. Yeah, so what it did was it went out of the loop and each time odd got appended. All right, k got appended to odd. So first 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and then the moment 10 came, it encountered the break statement, it went out of the loop and printed the odd. All right. uh, what a continue statement could do is I could do the same question, right? But my demands over here would be that I want to eliminate the even term, all right? So what I could change over here is continue, all right? All right, and what this would do is that the moment continue will strike, the for loop would be terminated. Odd dot append would not take place. All right, so let's run this and let's check if it works. Yeah, so what happened was one came. All right, Obviously, 1 didn't fall into this if loop, so it went to this, it got appended into odd. 3 came, 5 came, 7 came, 9 came. And then the moment 10 came, it went into this loop, it struck the continue statement, it broke out of the loops iteration. Alright. So directly from over here, you didn't execute this, you directly came back over here and your K was 11 this time. 11 again got appended into odd, 13 got appended into odd, 15 got appended into odd. Alright. So that's your continue statement. Now good, we have got past statement is basically a placeholder, so I don't think there's no example for it particularly. The last one is using else with loops. So let's have a look at that. Else with loops. Alright, let's say I want to create a code where I can check whether there are even numbers in the code. Alright, so what I'll do is that I'll copy this. Alright, and I'll write same code as above. I don't need odd over here. So I'll just put for k in numbers if k modulus 2 is equals to 0. Alright, break, and then we'll put an else statement, print there are no even numbers in the list. Right, look over here, what it says is if a break statement is used, the loop is terminated and the else block is not executed. If the break statement is not used, the loop runs all the way and triggers the else block. What we could add over here is print there are even numbers in the list. Right, what will happen is that, let's say we have 10 over here, which is an even number, so k equals to 10, modulus is 0. If condition is triggered, there are even numbers in the list was printed, we encountered the break statement, everything is finished. All right, the else statement does not occur because the break got occurred. Right, now let's say 10 is not there, and if you run this, there are no, k is never even. All right, we directly come to the else part and we print it. Right, let's run this. Right, there are no even numbers in the list. If I were to put 10 over here and run it, there are even numbers in the list. All right, so that was else with loops. All right, so now there's one last thing left with conditions, which is the match statement. All right, now what is the match statement, you might ask? Match statement is just like the switch case that we had in C++. All right, now this is a very new thing, it was introduced in Python 3.10. All right, if you have installed Anaconda 3.9, you'll need to upgrade it to 3.10 because match is a very new thing, it was not there before. And yeah, so what match does is that, what you do is you assign a variable, all right, which will be your condition variable, and whatever the value it obtains, according to that you define some cases, and whichever case is fulfilled by that value, that code is executed. All right, uh, let's make a calculator. All right, for this, so let's write a code and let's write match statement. Right, so what we can do is that let's print a statement. No, let's do one thing, let's first ask for input for two numbers a and b, then we'll list out the options that they have, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then we'll say that enter your answer, give your input, and then according to that we'll display the answer. Yeah, so let's do one thing, let's say a equals to int input, enter number 1. All right, let's just copy that, let's paste it, uh, making a calculator. Right, let's put this as b. Right, and let's make this number 2, and let's print press, no, let's do one thing, 1 stands for addition, let's use slash n. All right, 2 stands for subtraction, 3 stands for multiplication. 4 stands for division. Yeah, and then that's fine enough. That's fair enough, right? And then let's write C equals to int input, enter your choice, right? Fair enough. Now what we do is we write match C, right? And then let's write case 1 and then print A plus B, right? Let's do a case 2, print A minus B. Case 3, print A into B, right? Case 4, print A by B, right? And then you have a default case. So let's say someone entered some invalid value like 5 or 6, case underscore, alright, print invalid input. Alright, let's run this. Alright, so after doing some research, I figured out that the version that Collab is using is Python 3.8.15, and in that version match wasn't yet introduced. So what we can do is we can copy this code, alright, and on VS Code where I have my Python 3.10 Conda environment ready, alright, I'll just go to the test pynb and then over there I'll run this, right? It works perfectly fine. It asks for enter number 1. So enter number 1 is, let's say, 5. Number 2 is 10. And it gives us the 4 options: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. What do we want to do? We want to add them. So let's press 1 and let's press enter. 15 is the answer. Let's do another thing: 5, 10, and then let's do division. And 0.5 is your answer. And now let's do one thing. Let's put a value that is not from 1 to 4. Let's put 9, invalid input. Yeah, so our math statement works perfectly fine. The only problem is it is valid for 3.10. 3.10 is not yet widely used in Collab. And for Conda as well, you'll need to install, you need to create a new environment with Python 10 in it installed, right? So yeah, that's it for match. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to see more of these tutorials. Give me a follow on Twitter at @KevinPKaria. And if you have any queries, feel free to send an email at ask.kevinpkaria@gmail.com.